Okay guys, so we've got to the point where we're looking at designing your sort of image or logo using simple shapes, and what we're going to look at is how we go about doing that. Now this is specifically for those that are using the PC, but you can also draw exactly the same way using the primitives, and the primitives we're going to use will be our squares, our circles, ellipses, etc. Okay, so what we're going to look at, well, this is Charlie Chaplin. I've chosen this image for various reasons really. One, it is black and white, so it's monochrome. The other thing is that it's actually quite a familiar feature, so it's iconic, people will relate to him. Now before I start looking at how to draw him, I have to break down what the actual main features are. It's a bit like when you do caricatures, you look for the facial elements and sort of emphasise them. So I can see the main things here is he's got a hat, bowler hat, curly hair, big eyebrows, and there's a reason for that I'll go into in a second. Obviously eyes, moustache, sort of a collar, a tie, a waistcoat on this case, and if you don't know anything about Charlie Chaplin, he used to have a cane and walk around and do funny things, so we need to make some sort of expression, and that's probably why he had big eyebrows as well, because in those days there wasn't any sound on films, there was just music being played in the background, and so a lot of what the character was trying to say had to come from his body language and his facial sort of features. Now I've already had a go at doing this to show you what you can do with it, but I will show you real time in a second. So if we just look at what we've done so far from there, I'll just minimise that for a second. There we go. Now I've done this as an animation to start off with, so you can see the sort of things we can do with it. I've put Charlie Says. So on a t-shirt I can use some sort of logo, which is this part, and then I can do the lettering using the typography. Now I'm using Serif Draw for this, and Draw Plus, mainly because we use this in school, certainly in graphics, but you can easily do it on Word, you can easily do it on PowerPoint as well, that's not an issue. Okay, so to animate it, I've sort of got him walking funnily, and then names coming up, etc., and blinking. Before we go to that, let's have a look at how we've drawn him. Okay, I'm just going to close that for a second. Close window. Do I want to save it? Probably not. Okay. Right, so what I've actually got is my Charlie Chaplin here. And although it looks quite stylish, it's actually made up using various primitives, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm just going to minimise this, enlarge the page, and then I'm going to show you how to draw it from there. Okay, well on Serif Draw it's fairly straightforward. All your tools and your commands are actually here. So I'm going to use the basics here, and the other ones really I'm going to use here, the square, in fact I probably won't use the square, the circle and the polygon, and from there we're going to construct the image. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is draw the face. Now the face is an ellipse, I'll move the ellipse there. Next thing I do is I draw another ellipse. Now it's up to you how you want the eyes, and fill command, you've got two squares here. If I just click on that square and just move these down to black, and I'm going to keep mine monochrome, I'm going to keep it black and white just because it's a cheaper logo to produce, but also I think it looks a bit better as well because they're with black and white films. Okay, so his eyes we put into position. Now what I'm going to do on this one is actually copy it, so Control C, Control V, flip it using the flip command, and just drag it across. Eyebrows, well I'm going to use the same again with the eyebrows, but I'm just going to use this command here, which is the donut, and you can see there it will automatically draw in black now. These little cursors here, I can actually change the thickness, and also I can change the direction, but more importantly how far around we actually go. So at that point, that one's done, click it back onto the select tool, we can rotate it round, and we can put his eyes like so. Control C, Control V again, flip it. And if I wanted to change the eyebrows, so I do one going down and one going up, I could do. But Charlie's quite a happy fella, and if I just press Ctrl V again, all I'll do then is just spin it round again, just to give me his mouth. So it's the same line really for his eyebrows and his eyes. Now his moustache is done a slightly different way, because all I've done then is I've used this sort of function down there, and I've just rotated it round like so. Now because it's funny, one of the things Charlie Chaplin used to do was move his nose and wobble his moustache about. To get a bit of humour. So I can place it there. We don't need the nose, we don't need all the other area bits. If you wanted to go into detail and do things where you've just got white buttons and a little bits of the white in the eyes, you can do that, it's not a problem. But it doesn't always look right on these type of drawings and images, so you can put the whites in his eyes, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so right, next thing then is his ears. Now his ears are just small ellipses. These need to be white. I'm going to leave the outline on. Just move those behind the head where you want them to go. It's up to you what proportion you put them in. Control C, Control V, all ready to copy, edit, paste. And then I'm just going to send those to back, like so. So there it is, gone to back, and you've got the ears. Now the ear is quite easy because that's just circles. So what I'm going to do is draw circles, same sort of circle really. Move these cursors back down into monochrome, and literally then I can just place the hair wherever I want it to be. So Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. I can make them different sizes, and because it's a logo and to speed things up, what I am going to try and do is hopefully then Control V, flip it, the same, and place it onto this bit. Might actually make it a bit more over his ears as opposed to the other one. Okay, so that's that bit. Now the next bit is to draw his hat. Now his hat's very easy, you just use a rectangle. In goes a rectangle, like so. You can move that across. You can lower it down to where it needs to be. And I'm then going to do half a circle. So, half a circle, it's probably best in this case. I'll just draw a circle that sort of size. Use these again to halve it. And then I can rotate it round to where I want it to be. Brilliant. If you want to put the actual slice in it, there's two ways of doing it. One, I can just copy that one, Control C, click onto Control V, shrink it a little bit, hit the white, and then Control V. What's this? Control V. Right, okay, right, so Control C, Control V, and then shrink that a little bit, and you just put the highlight on the hat. So there's loads of things really you can do here. Just to make it look better, and that's slightly different to the one I've done over there, but it's the same sort of thing. Okay, now I can move his hat and proportion it wherever I need to. Really, it needs to be where the air's starting, where the air's finishing to look effective. Okay, body next then. Well, the body is fairly straightforward to do here. The body, all I'm going to do is use a pentagon. I'm just going to rotate that round. So I rotate it so it's flat, and then I can move it into position, and we can see where we're going with this. Now because he's doing ties and all the other sort of stuff, what I can do is update this one quite nicely. So what I'm going to do here is exactly literally what I've just done. I'll just delete that. Is press Control C, click onto Control V, change it white, shrink this in to make a shirt. And once I've done the shirt, all I do then is press Control C, Control V, turn it back black, and we shrink it down to make a sort of tie. At this point I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Once I've done that, hexagon again, nice little small hexagon, turn it round so it's flat, like we've just done. To make the top of the tie, I might need to extend this a little bit bigger, and there it is. And then finally, all I do then is click onto the pentagon, change this down to a side of 3, so it's a triangle, click onto it so it's white, shrink it down according to size that I want, rotate it so that bit's level, and we start to get the idea where we're going to put the actual tie and the shirt. So one, Control C, Control V, flip it, and away we go. Just move it back to the other side. If I wanted to, I could put different things like the pearls, which I haven't done on the other one. So on here, for example, if I press Control C, Control V, I can copy it, I can shade it black, but this time I can make the outline white, and when I move it into position, you can see that I can start to put things like Control C, Control V. Yeah, just done the wrong one there. So yeah, all I'm going to do now is group that. So it's group B, I just highlighted on. And I'll click on more than one so it makes it groups. Control C, Control V, flip it, and away we go. That bit goes onto this side. I can just rotate it round, and I am going to bring these forward again. Let's bring it to front. Bring it to front, there we go, and that one, bring it to front. And there we've decided to get this sort of coat and arms, etc. Right, what do we do next? Well, if I zoom back out, you can see where we're going with this. The next bit is to draw another rectangle, another pentagon. And all I'm going to do this time, once it's shady black, of course, is click onto that bit. There we go. You just rotate that one and place it where it needs to go to make his legs. Now you can make them as tall or as short as you want. Just to make it more comedy for myself, I'm going to make mine short and put that into position. Then I'm leaving the bit for the arms here, so you can see where the arms are. I'm just going to send that to back. Now I don't want this bit here as well, so what I'll do then, if I just zoom back in, literally grab a square, and if it fits, which mine doesn't, or I can actually just shrink it a little bit more to cover that part. Now on the legs over here you can see I haven't got a gap in them, but if you wanted a gap in yours, very easy to do. Just go back to this bit, change that to where it's got 3 or a triangle, change it so it's white. It depends how wide or how thin you want his legs. You don't want it that wide, to be fair. There we go. So I can make a few amendments as we go. And then all I'm going to do there for his arms is, because he's got cuffs on, is, as you can see here, all I've done is clicked on draw the square, because I'm keeping it as simple as I can. If I wanted to, I could rotate them slightly, but I think it loses the effects. So if I put them at a slight angle inwards, just so it makes it look off balance, and slightly out from his sleeve there, so Control C, Control V now, flip that one, take it back. Now I could have done this all together and then copy them and paste them, to be honest, but it just shows you where the commands are, which is why I'm repeating it. So I'll do a little black circle there, turn that down. Now that's obviously the cuff link or the button, a little too big there, so it's all about proportion as well. I'm going to place it in the top corner, and there we go there, top corner there. And then his shoes. Now his shoes are quite comedy shoes here, so if I just draw a black sort of shoe followed by a rectangle, Okay, so let's try the rectangle now. So just do Control C, Control V there to make like a funny boot. Exactly the same way as we did before. If I wanted to put sort of line on it, I can do. So I'm moving that back slightly. Control C, Control V, changing that back to black. So you can see the sort of shoe you've got there as well. So it just shows where a shine really to make it look like leather. I can group all that, shrink it down to the size I want so it looks realistic. And because it's a comedy, what I'm going to do is stretch his feet, perhaps not that much, stretch his feet a little bit, place them into place so you can see I've updated it slightly from what I've done there. Now the hands are quite simple, it's just one rectangle like so, and I'm drawing it fairly big here because I can always shrink it. Another rectangle which I've rotated, place it into the corner, and then I draw a final rectangle with no outline whatsoever, and that sort of goes around there like so. Or you could twist it like I've done instead of stretching it. There we go. Brilliant. So I've made a little hand there, and that's all you need really, just to suggest that hand shape. I am going to group it, and then I'm going to shrink it down. I can place it so if you want him to have big hands or things like that, like boxers, that's fine. Getting the proportion just take a bit of time. So what I'm going to do there, I'm trying to, like I've done on this one, is put it so you get the line on the leg, and it just gives it a bit more of a lift, if I'm honest, onto that one. So I might need to stretch it just a little bit more, and I'll certainly need to bring that to the front, although don't do what I've just done it and missed the circle off because it wasn't grouped. So I'll bring all that to the front and do exactly the same. So Control C, Control V, flip it, drag it out to the other side, highlight the areas that we want to move, which is that bit, and bring it to the front. Right, now this cane's fairly easy because I can use these commands here, and there's one that actually looks just like the cane. So I just draw the cane like so, turn it to white, and then that needs to be black, sorry, on that one, and then that bit needs to be white. We'll get there. And then that bit just moves across. We can make it thinner, make this shorter, and there's one cane. Okay, so we've got all the components that we've pretty much made ready to go. Now proportion is key here. Okay, now to add a bit more comedy then, so you can see where we go. It's easy to actually make his head turn, so I'm going to group all these first of all, and just to make it look a bit better, if I angle his head slightly, bring it to front so it sits on the neck, it looks as if he's got a bit of action in there as well. His cane, exactly the same. If I angle slightly, actually make that so it's just on it level with the thing, and we've got it. So you can see I've updated it to what I've done in this one, but that pretty much is how to do a figure on there. And you can use this on PowerPoint, you can use it on Word, etc. And that's how we end up finishing really. So there's our Charlie Chaplin, which is pretty much done. That's a wing con, so it's just keeping it nice and simple. Head slightly bigger than the body. I can angle him as well, so just to make it a bit more of a comedy. If I make his body wobble, we'll try and get the balance right with his head. And I suppose what I could do as well, just to make it balanced, is select tool, put him on a little circle. Ta-da! All done. And that, folks, is how you make your image, basically, your Winnicon image or Cheticon image.